What's up, Ram Nation? Ryan Keating, Sports Information Director at Texas Wesleyan, here with you today. Right beside me, my assistant Cameron Irvine, and today we are talking to head coach of men's soccer, Cole Sweetser. Sweetser just finished his third season at the helm of the men's soccer program. A bit of a rebuilding type process going on in the program. Cole Sweetser comes from Fort Lewis College, where he helped lead his team to an NCAA Division II national championship in 2005, was named first team All American that season, and at the time of his graduation, he ranked second in both school history and conference history in career points with 136 and goals with 58. Sweetser is a member of the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference men's soccer all-century team, as well as the Fort Lewis College all-sport all-century team. What a resume, Coach. How's it going?
I'm doing well, Thank you.
What was one of your favorite moments from that national championship season?
Well, there's actually a couple moments that I couldn't really decide between. One was that the spring prior to, my coach was an English coach, Jeremy Gunn, and he took our entire team over to England for about 10 days, and we got to travel a little bit and play some matches over there, and that was just an amazing experience, a life-changing kind of experience. And then the second one was the Final Four that year was in Wichita Falls, Texas, which is about an hour and a half away from where I grew up. So having all of my family and friends being able to make the trip over to Wichita Falls and be there for the semifinal and the final, that was pretty special to me as well.
Yeah, I bet that would have been awesome. So tell us a little bit about the transition of how your journey started from your playing career and how you got into coaching. Is it something you always wanted to do? Talk a little bit about that process.
So whenever I was a player at Fort Lewis College, the program had kind of partnered up with the local club team, and us as players were able to make a little bit of extra money on the side by coaching the youth teams there in Durango, Colorado. And so that I got my first taste of coaching while I was actually still playing in college. And then after college, I played semi-professional indoor and outdoor for a couple of years. And once my playing career was done, I ended up moving back up to Durango and coaching with a buddy of mine at the local high school there. And so that's kind of how it all started from me. And, I knew I enjoyed it from my playing days. I enjoyed working with the little kids and soccer being my passion. I just stuck with it and slowly worked my way up the ranks in the coaching, and eventually was a volunteer assistant at my alma mater, then was hired on as an assistant at Colorado Mesa for underneath another guy that I played with at Fort Lewis, and moved back home where the previous coach, Tyler Powell, brought me on staff, and I liked working with the school, and the head coaching position opened up, so that's kind of how I got to where I am now.
Awesome. So talk a little bit about the culture that you're trying to establish in the men's soccer program.
So the culture that we're trying to establish, and I think we've made some good steps towards over these first few years, is we really want a growth mentality culture. We want it to be a culture where we're constantly improving our student athletes and constantly pushing them to be the best that they can be, both as on the field, in the classrooms, and as a person. We strive to get the most out of everybody that joins our program in all three of those aspects.
Coach, your roster in 2019 had players from Chile, Scotland, Serbia, Brazil, Puerto Rico, Mexico, South Africa, and Liberia, and Texas, and some other states. Soccer, especially on the men's side, it is the international sport. Recruiting, it's so fascinating to me on the soccer side. How do you find players, and how What are the challenges and benefits of having so many different types of cultures and so many different types of histories on a squad?
Well, it is a little bit more difficult recruiting the international players, mainly because you never really get the chance to see them play in person. Occasionally, they'll come over to the States for a big international tournament, and you might get to see them there. But most of the time, you're recruiting these kids without ever getting to see them play in person. So because of that, we really do our research in the sense of we like to talk to their coaches. We like to talk to the people that have worked with these players quite a bit in order to get more than what you're going to get out of the video. You know, with the technology nowadays that helps with the international stuff because they're able to put together pretty impressive highlight videos of them playing and you get to see that, but there's only so much that you can tell from the video. So we like to really talk to the people that have been working close to these students or these student athletes to see, you know, what their personality's like, what their work ethic is like, you know, stuff like that you can't really get out of the video.
What's your most rewarding experience as a coach? In terms of what it brings you the most joy and what drives you crazy?
I'm sorry, you're kind of muffled there. My most rewarding experience as a coach?
Yeah, and what drives you crazy?
Well, I'd say probably my most rewarding experience of a coach was whenever I was an assistant coach at Colorado Mesa. We were in the Elite Eight, and we scored a goal with about 2 minutes left on the clock to advance on to the Final Four. And just being able to look around and see the kids' excitement and the kids, you know, that sense of accomplishment after all the hard work that they put in, and being able to celebrate that moment with those guys was probably one of the most rewarding experiences in my coaching career so far. And what was the second part to the question? I'm sorry.
What drives you crazy as a coach?
I love seeing a kid struggle a little bit and finally have that aha moment where it just clicks for them and it takes them to the next level and whatever that, and that could be in many different ways. You know, it could be in as a player, or it could be them just grasping the concept of what commitment is, you know, or grasping the concept of what dedication is. And then once that light bulb clicks on, just being able to see that kid grow so much so quickly once they've had kind of one of those aha moments.
So, Coach, you named your assistant coach, Dejan Milo, who's a alum of Texas Wesleyan. You named him associate head coach over the off season. Describe his personalities and some of his strongest traits and what he brings to the table as a coach.
Milo is a very, very passionate coach, which is one of the biggest things that I love about him. He fits right in side by side with my passion for the game, and he brings that to every session, to every game. He brings that level of passion. It's the players feed off of it. The players see it, and we hope that it kind of helps to instill that same passion into our players. You know, Milo's a very no nonsense type of guy. We're here. He's very driven in the sense that we're here to constantly improve, and that's what we're going to do, and we're not going to accept anything else.
What do you think is Texas Wesleyan's competitive advantage? What sets Texas Wesleyan apart from, say, other NAI institutions?
I think there's a couple of things. One is the education that you get here at Texas Wesleyan with the smaller, smarter, small student to teacher ratios. I think that's something that's pretty special in the sense that our students are able to have personal one-on-one relationships with their professors. They're really able to get that hands-on education that you can't get at a lot of these other schools where they have 50 kids in a class and their teacher doesn't know them, know who they are. And so I think that's one of our biggest advantages. The other big advantage that we have is our location. Being right outside of downtown Fort Worth, we have Dallas less than 30 miles away from us. And between the two cities, you can really, there's anything that you're looking to do, you can find here other than maybe a beach or or the mountains.
Well, I can definitely attest to the one-on-one personal relationships. What you assume that you're going to make some long-term friendships and relationships with the students that you go to school with. What I didn't know, what I didn't realize when I came to Texas Wesleyan was the lifelong relationships that you can build with your professors. I mean, I still have, you know, some professors' numbers in my phone. I can text them whenever I need advice, and they're always there to help me out whenever I need them. So you're right on with that. Talk about some of the best and worst aspects of operating in the NAIA. Maybe say comparing coming from coaching at the NCAA level.
Yeah, there's I guess one of the better things about being in the NAIA is they're a little bit more lenient as far as giving players eligibility. So you're able to bring in, a more mature, older player that wouldn't be eligible in the NCAA, and you can try to help your roster out by having a couple of those older, mature players to kind of help with your culture and help be leaders. So that's definitely an advantage there to the NCAA. And some of the weaknesses with the NAIA would be that we kind of, when in the recruiting process, you kind of the players don't really, they think NCAA Division I, that's where everybody wants to be, is in the NCAA Division I, maybe Division II. And so that's kind of a disadvantage there. You have to kind of break through that initial barrier of, I don't want to go play NAIA. You got to kind of be able to show them that the NAIA does produce a lot of professional athletes, and a lot of players have been able to do very well in the NAIA and go on to their professional careers after that. So that's kind of one of the tough parts about being in the NAIA.
Coach, what are the things you like to do outside of soccer? What are some of the hobbies for Cole Sweetser?
A couple of the hobbies that are really big for me is golf and fishing. I love to fish, and with the whole quarantine going on with COVID right now, it's created a little bit of extra free time where I've been able to fish quite a bit this spring, which isn't usually the case. So. Nice. So yeah, those would be my big two. I love being outside. I'm not the greatest golfer, but just being out on the course with buddies, I just love that aspect of the sport, and it's a challenge. I like to challenge myself and constantly trying to get better with that. And then with the fishing, it's something that I've done with my dad since I was a 5-year-old, and still do to this day fish with him all the time. And it's great to be out on the boat, even if we're not catching fish. Just being on the boat with him I just love that being outdoors kind of stuff.
Is ice fishing better than fishing?
Ooh, I've never been ice fishing, so I cannot attest to that. I like the type of fishing we do. It's a lot of casting bait fishing, and there's some skill that comes into that, and that little bit of a challenge with casting your lures into the proper spot, where ice fishing is a little bit more, you got to be a little bit more patient. I think it's drop the line and kind of let it and kind of wait.
Are you a TV guy or a movie guy?
I would probably say I was a TV guy if I had to choose one of the two. My wife and I don't watch a whole lot of TV or movies in general, but when we do, we're typically finding a show on Netflix and watching that kind of stuff rather than movies.
Are you binging anything right now?
We've been binging The Mentalist, which is a great show that my wife turned me on to. She actually watched quite a bit of it, and and restarted it over with me throughout this quarantine. So we've been kind of binging that one a couple episodes a day.
We're hoping that all of this this COVID-19 stuff dies down before the fall sports come back around. Do you feel in any way, fortunate that you were able to play a full season this year when most teams were not able to, even including the winter sports who got their postseasons cut short?
Absolutely. Depending on how long this stuff drags on for, if we are able to get back in the proper time and have our fall season as we expect to, then we were absolutely the lucky ones. You feel so bad for those winter sports who, although they got most of their season in, they didn't get to compete for their championships at the end of the season. And those seniors that have always worked so hard for those opportunities, and for those opportunities be taken away from those seniors is just heartbreaking. You just feel for those kids. I couldn't imagine going through it as whenever I was a senior, and it's really, really tough on those kids. Now, if this does drag out a little bit longer, then we'll find ourselves in a similar situation. If we're not able to have our fall season, we're going to have some seniors that fall into that same boat, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that all this will kind of pass by then. But as of now, I absolutely think that we were kind of the lucky ones being in the fall sports.
All right, Coach, if you could switch jobs with any other coach for a week, which sports would you choose and why?
That's a tough question. I love all sports, really. I grew up and played 7 or 8 different sports before I chose soccer to focus on, and so I love all sports. I would have to go with either basketball or football. With basketball, it's one of the sports that's similar to soccer in the sense of the way players move and work off of each other. Creating different angles and stuff like that. And then with football, I've just always been a big football fan. I love how much a football coach is able to impact the game in the sense of they're able to help with every single play. They're able to, recognize things and make adjustments on the fly. And it's not always that way in soccer. So I think I would really enjoy coaching those 2 sports as well.
What was your favorite subject growing up in school?
Well, I don't know if I would call it my favorite subject, but math and science were the 2 that just came naturally to me. The sciences were probably I enjoyed a little bit more than the math classes, but your physics, your chemistry, those kind of classes. I remember enjoying those classes going through them.
Coach, talk us real quick through the process of getting a student athlete to Texas Wesleyan, whether it be they contact you or you see them at a camp. Talk about that process from camp to onboarding with a student.
There can be a couple different routes that we go in the recruiting process with students. For example, the international kids, like we spoke earlier, that recruiting process is quite a bit different than the domestic kids. But most of the time nowadays, we get an email from a student athlete, prospective student athlete, and they send us, their grades. They send us a little clip of their highlight video, and if we like what we see with that stuff, then we contact them and we try to get out and see them play live, whether it be with a club game or a high school game. That way we can kind of get to see some things that we might not see in the video. And the same goes for them as it does with the international students. We like to really do our homework with the prospective student athletes. We like to talk to their coaches. We like to talk to their their teachers if available. And find out as much as we can about these student athletes to make sure that they're going to be a fit for our program and the culture that we're trying to establish in our program. So if we do like a kid, we'll get out, we'll watch them. We held a winter ID camp and a summer ID camp that are really important for our domestic recruits. We like to bring them in where they're able to train with the current student athletes that we have in the program, and that's where we can really kind of tell how they're going to fit in with the group, how they're going to, if they're going to be able to, make adjustments at this level, and that kind of gives us our final decision on, we want to bring this kid in, we want to offer this kid a little bit of scholarship, stuff like that. Then once we make an offer and they sign, then it's up to them we provide them with their summer workout plans. It's up to them to do those workout plans and come into preseason as fit as possible so that they can come in and try to take one of these upperclassmen's spot. That's part of the culture that we want to establish. Is we want it to be a friendly, competitive environment. We want these kids pushing each other to fight for that playing time, and again, it's only going to bring the best out of everybody if we're able to do that. It's constantly pushing people.
And people can find information on camps as they're announced on ramsports.net. Cole, how can a recruit contact you or Coach Milo and get seen or submit a video to you?
The best way is typically through email. We're on those emails pretty frequently, and when they do email, they want to email me, but also CC Coach Milo as well. And doing that, we're able to again kind of figure out if this is a student that would be a good fit for us.
And the way that student athletes can email Cole and Coach Milo, or go to ramsports.net, click on men's soccer, and go to coaching staff. Their email and office number will show up on the screen there. Coach, are you a social media guy? Can we follow you on social media anywhere?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Facebook. I'm not a real big social media guy, so I don't have a bunch of different accounts on the different sites. Facebook is I'm on it, and we actually use that as we have a team group, private Facebook group that we use for a lot of our communication. And like, for example, right now the boys are posting videos of them doing their workout plans that we sent, and it's great for them to kind of inspire each other and also hold each other accountable to make sure that everybody's doing the work at home while we can't be together doing the work.
That's awesome. All right, Coach. Well, thanks for stopping by and talking to us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for your time and everything you guys do.
All right. Head coach of men's soccer, Cole Sweetser. That's another edition of ramsports.net Ram Talk. For Cameron Irvine, I'm Ryan Keating. Ram Nation, we'll see you later.